Hi there, my name's Benita Fieser. This is for Altc 806, and it's going to be on building thinking classrooms. And basically, I am going to talk to you today about students using Avid one-pagers to analyze fiction. And I'm going to be talking about short stories because that's what we're going to start with at the beginning of the school year. So, the typical way that you can teach how to analyze a short story is to have students take notes, and I could do a lecture from the front of the room, give them a handout, and maybe do a class read where we pay close attention to what happens to the main character and how the character is introduced. Have them I could do a photocopy of the short story so that they could read and annotate it, and then have them jot down words that they notice. We could have done a pre-analyzation of, okay, what's the title, tell us, and all of those things. Then they could brainstorm and take notes afterwards about what happened and how the character changed, and if he was dynamic or if she was static. And we could talk about them identifying crucial moments during the story. That's a traditional way to teach elementary fiction. It is not the way that students find it to be very engaging. So the way we're going to be doing this in the fall, and the way I've been doing this the last couple of years, is the first short story we're going to do. I'm going to use it to get their attention. I use visible learning and thinking classrooms. It's really designed, originally was designed for math classrooms, and I kind of ran across this YouTube video and I have run with it. So I'm going to use the Telltale Heart, I believe, to start my year off, just because it really gets their attention. And so I'm going to put up a slide and say, have any of you heard of Edgar Allan Poe's short story, The Telltale Heart? Most of them will not have heard of it. I'm going to be teaching 5th, 6th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, English. And most all of my students will be English as a second language. And then I'm going to ask them, well, have you heard of The Simpsons? And they will have all heard of The Simpsons. So I'm going to say, well, let's watch a YouTube video of Lisa and Bart when Bart tries to help Lisa with her science project. And as you can imagine, everything's going to go crazy. I will have already done some preliminary, this is how we take notes in Mrs. Fee's class, and they will have paper, and I call it Chalk Talk, because they will be up and writing on my whiteboards almost in every class. I have very busy classrooms, and they work in groups of 3. So they will know that they need to be taking notes even as they watch this YouTube video, and I'll just tell them, look, here's what I want you to do. You don't have to be glued to your paper, but I want you to just notice, like, how does the episode begin? When do things start going nuts? And when do they start making mistakes? And that's about as much as I'm going to tell them. It's just about a 10-minute video. So afterwards, then we'll go backwards and I'll say, okay, so let's talk about the basic elements of this story. And I will begin going through the academic terminology, which I'll throw up a slide to do. And they won't need to write all that down. But what I will do is I will have given them, I'll pass out a template for an Avid one-pager. So they'll have this blank graphic organizer, and I'll say to them, all you need to do is copy down these terms. So as I go through setting, I'll have them write setting in one of the spots. I'll have them write antagonist or protagonist or theme or whatever, so that they have this basic terminology. Now, in the past, for vocabulary, I have used the Frayer model, but I am on a number of Facebook um, teacher groups, and I have heard so much about patterns of power that I believe I am going to do a blend of Frayer model and patterns of power. I'm in the middle of reading that book right now, and I'm just falling in love with it. Frayer models, they're great. Students draw a picture, they use a sentence in context, they write down the definition. But when you're doing very many vocabulary words, it gets really boring. And with English as a second language, my students do a lot of definitions. So I think I'm going to do patterns of power in conjunction with some Frayer model. And maybe academic vocabulary will be Frayer model, and patterns of power will be stories or words that they pick out themselves. So once we've gone through this, and we'll do that very quickly, they will go to the boards. And they work in groups of 3, and they will start brainstorming. Their goal will be to create an Avid one-pager. I will be doing blocks. I'll be teaching in blocks with my students in the coming years. I spoke to my principal, and normally I would have them for 45 minutes for grammar and punctuation, vocabulary, and then they would leave my room and come back sometime during the day, and we would have literature. I do not want to do it that way because it would be 45 minutes that they're bored with grammar, punctuation. I think teaching those in isolation is not an effective way to teach. So I'm going to integrate or synthesize grammar, punctuation, and vocabulary in with our literature. So we'll have nice long blocks of time and be able to really get some things done. So they'll go up to the board, they'll kind of sketch out what they want to do, they'll brainstorm together, and then by the end of the class period, they will have taken a big piece of Post-it paper, usually like either a 15 by 28 or a 23 by 32, just depending on what our end goal is. And they will have come up with a beautiful Telltale Heart poster to hang on the wall. These in the beginning will go on the wall in our classroom, but within 10 days of school starting, they're going to start lining the hallways and hanging up high for all other students to look at and for their parents to see. I teach at a parochial school, and I like parents to be seeing the work that their students are doing, and I think that's going to be particularly important this year. Many of these children's parents, at least one of the 2 parents do not speak English. So I want to generate a lot of excitement for the parents and let them see what their kids are doing. I want the children to start getting very excited. By September 15th, they will have been in school for 1 month. They will have read at least 10 short stories and 3 short novels, and we will be going into Hispanic Heritage Month, and I am going to turn that into a huge, big deal. Our room is going to have banners. I've ordered a 8 by 10 foot drop cloth that has artificial intelligence is opening up so many things just across the genres, but it was very inexpensive and it is beautiful. So the whole room is going to be decorated for Hispanic Heritage Month. We will be reading novels by Hispanic artists because there's so many important novelists. I've ordered posters that are predominant across genres, mathematicians, scientists, historians, as well as novelists. Those will be hanging in the room. And we are going to finish off the month by having a wonderful dinner that I'm going to have restaurants cater, and they're going to do that gratis. and that'll be a big fundraiser for us. So I've just got great things planned. And I really want the students to have a wonderful time in my class. My students typically do. I taught high school seniors last year at the feeder school that these students are going to go to. And so we've got a lot of ground we need to really catch up. Many of these students are 2 grade levels behind in their reading, some of them even more. But they're very smart. They just need to get caught up. So we'll be doing a lot of vocabulary. We're going to be doing a lot of one-pagers, and we're going to be having a lot of fun while we do it. So that's kind of what I have planned. That will be my very first lesson plan for my first academic lesson plan for the year. And we will hit the ground running. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you're as excited hearing about it as I am with doing it. Thanks so much. Bye.